All right, good evening, everybody. This is Garen Rain speaking. We actually have people, media, in the room with Coach McMillan.
First time,
So,
wow.
First time in a long while. So we're actually going to start with the questions in the room. So, Malika, if you'd like to go for the first question.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm wondering if you have any update on Bogdan, how he's doing and what the plan is for him.
He's warming up. He'll be a game time decision. Yeah.
Chris?
Same question with Cam.
Cam should be available tonight.
And I know you're big on chemistry. How do you go about implementing someone who obviously hasn't played in 4 months into the rotation?
Well, it'll be. We'll still come off with Tony and Solomon first. Give those guys first opportunity.
Have I seen you, by the way?
Hey, good to see you.
Nice to be in the same room with you. You've spoken a few times about how Kevin Huerter has really turned into a good two-way player for you guys. Just how do you want to see him build on that big game 7 that Kevin had?
Just continue to be consistent with what he's doing. You know, he's given us good play on both ends of the floor. We've had to insert him into the starting lineup. He's doing a good job for us coming off the bench. But we wanted to place him in that starting lineup to see if we can get more ball movement, give us another option. And he's done a good job of doing that, as well as defending, some of the top guys.
All right, Joe?
Hey, Nate. After winning Sunday, and then you're trying to get away from things for a minute before you get into the series, I would think. What is something that you did to try to decompress, and what is something that maybe your guys just try to get away before you have to dive into another series?
Well, really, we pretty much took the same approach we did going from the first round to the second round. The next day we took that day off. We gave the coaches an opportunity to prepare for Milwaukee, gave the players the day off. We didn't want them to do anything, get off their feet. And, so the next day which was yesterday, we started to prepare for Milwaukee, but, it just can't, everything's coming so fast. You don't have much time. We had to really get right to work that next day preparing for Milwaukee. And, here we go.
Playoffs, I mean, as you know, you've been in a million of them. There's such high stress situations. But you're a 5 seed, and people outside your room didn't think you're supposed to come this far. So, do you find this playoff run to be as stressful as some of those other ones?
Well, we've talked about the mental approach with our guys. We talked about that really at the start of the playoffs. Really not listening to the outside noise and paying attention to it, good or bad. Mentally, getting your rest. Because you're going family is all of a sudden starting to attend games, both home and on the road. And with all the pressure and all the things, the information and preparation that we're giving guys, it's a lot, so that mental things we've tried to get our guys to work on as well. Get your rest, get away from the game. Get your sleep at night, and don't stay up all night entertaining, and mentally, get yourself prepared for the next day, which could be practice or game.
We're going to do 3 more from the room, and then we'll go to Zoom. So, Eric, you're next.
Hey. When you were in Indy, you obviously got to see Giannis 4 times a year. What do you feel like you guys learned seeing him that often, and what do you feel like you've kind of taken along the way in defending him and trying to stop him? He's
an awesome player. I got a great deal of respect for his game. Seeing him 4 times a year, this is a guy that he's unlike a lot of players in the league in the sense that he plays every possession to win. And, he is playing to win every second that he is out on the floor. A guy that, I kind of compare him to as a Kevin Garnett, on both ends of the floor. Those guys are just giving all that they have to win that possession defensively as well as offensively. So when you have a player with his skill, his ability, playing with that type of effort and energy, it keeps a lot of pressure on your team the entire time that he's off the floor. So just a great deal of respect for how he plays the game, and his team, they feed off of that.
Tim?
And obviously, you have a ton of playoff experience. You've got guys like Gallo and Cook who've been in a lot of playoff games, but a lot of your main guys have never been in the playoffs before this year. Obviously, you've won 5 road games so far. You're trying to do that again tonight. What has allowed you guys to be able to immediately kind of come in as a group and have that kind of road success, which, as you know, is obviously the hardest thing to do in the playoffs?
Well, what it comes down to is basketball. You're still playing basketball, and we have talked about that. It's still basketball. You're deeper into the season where you probably have a little bit more fatigue. You got some tweaks. Everybody has some tweaks, some injuries. So the main thing is to take care of yourself. I was just talking about, taking care of yourself both mentally as well as physically. And, those are things that we've tried to get this group to focus on, not talk about the pressure. It's basketball. You've been doing this all season long. And what we need to do at this time is do what we've been doing and do it better. And they've been able to do that.
Okay, Sarah?
I also kind of wanted to ask about guys like Clint, Gallo, Lou, just vets among young players who are on their first kind of playoff run. What have you seen from those veterans that you like as far as them are they modeling behavior that they want the young guys to follow, just as far as handling the pressure of the playoffs and, just kind of how you get through this mentally and physically?
Well, we all are going through it really for the first time, as a group and as a unit. And our veterans have really done a good job all season long mentoring the younger guys and, talking to them, pulling them aside, both in practice, in the locker room, and during games. So those veterans, Lou has been really good for us. Gallo has been good for us. KD hasn't played a lot of minutes for us, but his experience has been really good for our group. And Clint has, just been solid for us. So it's a good group. Bogey, he's had experience playing in big games before, so that type of pressure, he's comfortable with, and he's been able to, talk about that with his teammates. So it's really been really good. These guys have, come in. They've been locked into what we are trying to give them, and as far as game planning. And they've done a good job of going out on the floor and executing it.
How unique has this playoffs been for you guys, even guys who have been through this before so many times, just because you do have still some COVID protocols and different stuff like that, and I'm sure that changes the routine from what you're used to going through in the postseason?
Yeah, well, we're not doing as much on the floor, certainly now, as we were during the season, but we were limited then, so we're really used to this type of schedule, far as, the next day, you're really taking it off, and you're doing a lot more teaching through video, through film, and you're trying to, take the guys off their feet as much as possible, and, do your work and your teaching through film. Really, we've been limited all season long with being able to go out on the floor and play, and with the tight schedule that we played this season. So this is something that we've really adapted to, during the season.
All right, Jelani, you're taking over.
All right, we'll start with Zach Klein.
Coach, Cam hasn't played since February 21st. What was his reaction when you said, lace him up, grab a jersey, let's go?
Well, we really talked about that in the last series. He felt that he would be ready the next round. And, so basically we're not going to put any pressure to put him out there. He hasn't played, as you just mentioned, in a few months. There are guys in front of him as far as rotation, and we will stick with those guys.
Maria Martin.
Coach, kind of to go off of what Zach just said, you know, Cam's had to be really patient over the last couple of months. What have you seen from him mentally that makes you think, okay, you know, he's been ready, he's been patient?
Well, again, we haven't had the opportunity for him to get in any 5-on-5, you know, since he's been off. He's been playing the last week or so, some 2-on-2, 3-on-3. So he hasn't played 5-on-5 basketball because we haven't played any live or done anything far as live scrimmaging in the last, you know, couple of weeks, really since playoffs have started. So, I mean, you know, he's healthy. He feels good. He's ready to go. But of course, he hasn't been able to participate in anything 5-on-5. So we'll be, you know, cautious how we use him when we do decide to put him in the game.
Vince Goodwill.
Nate, how do you gauge this team's emotion? You guys have been riding on this sort of high for the past couple of weeks, and they're so young and so inexperienced. How do you keep them on edge now that they've gotten through 2 playoff rounds and not get them feeling satisfied?
Yeah, well, they've been good, really, throughout this season. Not, you know, we try not to get too high when we have success, and we try not to get too low when we drop a game or two. You know, our plan is always to, you know, take the approach. The next game, we want to be better than we were in our last game, and we've taken that approach. They've been pretty calm and with all this, you know, the success we've had, and when we dropped some games, you know, they've been able to, you know, learn from what we didn't do well in our losses, come back, correct those mistakes or slip it, you know, things that we had some slippage in, and find ways to win games. So, I mean, they're young, but they've shown a lot of growth in responding when we've dropped games.
Martenzie Johnson from The Undefeated.
Hi, Nate. You are the coach down so appreciate those. You built his first ever start of the year who proceeds to the main stairwell. You know, what do you remember about that moment for him? And then also, exit the course. Turn left or right.
I didn't hear your question.
How about now?
Continue out the exits.
There's
Proceeded in upper level sections 201 around through 228.
Okay.
Martenzie,
Sorry.
perhaps you might be able to type your question into the chat, but there's a lot of noise in the background. So we will move to Raphael Haynes for the moment.
Hey, Nate. Nate, how valuable is Clint Capella's experience being in this position, playing, you know, conference finals, you know, more than 3 times to be exact? And have you asked him to be more vocal around this time?
We've talked about that with our veterans, really, from the start of the season. We wanted them to be more vocal. That was the reason that we added veterans to this roster at the beginning of the season, bringing in Clint, who really didn't play much last season for us, but bringing in Bogey and bringing in at the beginning of the season, we had Rondo, we had Bogey. They felt that they needed to bring in veterans and guys with experience to get to this point, you know, to take that next step to win ball games. So certainly we've asked those guys to, you know, talk and speak to the group and lead. And Clint has done that. You know, he's done a solid job for us really all season long. And, you know, he's just been an anchor, you know, to our defense. And, you know, last series and really the first series just did an outstanding job of really help defense in that New York series, and then having to guard Embiid. You know, he took on that challenge of guarding, you know, a great post player and did a solid job. So he really is the anchor and establishes our defense for us.
We've got 5 more. We will go to Takeshi.
Hello, Coach. Thank you for your time. I'm calling from Tokyo, Japan again. And my question is, the other day, John Collins was talking about your team concept, like you're gonna be like a fist, not like a palm. So I like that, and I would like you to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, we talked about, we've been talking about that really all season long, being a fist, being connected. I just feel that if you, the tighter that connection, the tighter the fist out on the floor, which are the 5 players, you can knock out your opponent. And, when you have that connection on both ends of the floor and you're executing out there and you're playing as a fist, a tightly connected group, you're gonna be able to do some good things. And our guys have been able to do that. Doesn't matter which 5 is out on the floor. We got to be connected. We got to be clear about what we're doing out there, and we got to execute. And they've been able to do that, both groups.
Thank you so much. ありがとうございます。
4 more. First from Heather.
Hi, Nate. I hope you've been well.
Hi, Heather.
Trey shoots a lot from deep, but has been inconsistent. Holiday can clearly detain those attempts. In what ways do you think Trey will get tested by Drew in this series?
Well, Drew is a really solid defender, and Trey is a really good offensive player. So Trey, we want him to be aggressive, and he's very capable of knocking down the shots that he takes, and it really forces the defense to have to stretch their defense when guarding him. So he is a guy that really establishes our tempo and our style of play. So we want him to be aggressive, and when he feels that he has a good look, we want our guys to shoot the ball. We don't want hesitation. We want all of our guys to be aggressive out on the floor.
Thank you. And if I can just quickly follow up, in what ways can you guys put pressure and capitalize on Giannis's inconsistency on his shots?
Well, we're going to try to keep him in front. I think that's the big key. He's a big guard that has the ability to get to the rim. He plays in the paint. He lives in the paint. And, that's really the first line of defense for us, is to, try to keep these guys out of the paint and force them to shoot the ball over the top. I think they have really good isolation players in Giannis and Middleton and Drew. Those guys are very capable of putting up big numbers in one-on-one coverage. So we're going to have to do a good job of getting pressure, but keeping them in front of us and forcing them to shoot the ball over the top.
Appreciate it. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Last 3 from Deshaun Tate.
Good evening, Coach. I hope that this question is considered appropriate. Not trying to dip too far into your plans on what you're putting in place against Milwaukee, but have you had any kind of conversations with the guys about maybe sending Giannis to the free throw line, similar to the way that you did Ben Simmons, considering his inability to convert from that area?
Yeah, I won't get into strategies, as far as things that we want to do out on the floor. Of course, our coaching staff we've studied this team, and we've tried to put a plan in place, but I won't get into our strategy as far as how we're going to play an opponent.
James Hill.
Hey, Nate, can you talk a little bit about just the road mentality as you go in and start a series out on the road, and you're able to go in and try to get 1 or 2, and the team is able to focus when they're on the road? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always the game plan, in the playoffs, is to, when you on the road, trying to get one and certainly trying to get that first one. I think it really helps you in a series when you can get that first win and basically right away you get home court advantage by doing that. Our guys have been able to play good basketball in that first game, and I'm looking forward to us doing the same thing tonight.
And finally, Collins is playing at a high level, kind of leading this team along with Trey and the other guys. But can you talk a little bit about Collins and what he's able to do?
Yeah, he's been consistent for us, really all season long, and during these playoffs. I really had one night where he just couldn't get anything going, and I think that was a game in New York where he got in foul trouble. But he's been consistent with his play on both ends of the floor, defensively defending guys, rebounding the basketball, offensively, providing, scoring for us both inside and out. So all of our guys are playing good basketball. You just don't get to this point with one or two guys doing it for you. This group has been consistent and playing solid basketball for a while now.
All right, our final question will be Martinzi's from The Undefeated. He typed it in the chat and it says, Nate, you gave new Celtics coach Ime Udoka his first ever start back in Portland. What was that moment like telling him that he would start?
He was a great player for me. Just a selfless player that always kept himself ready, had experience, could play multiple positions, and a guy that was coachable. Really good talent. Play the 1, 2, and 3. Really just a joy to work with, and coaching him. You knew that he would one day be on the sidelines coaching. His basketball IQ is very high, understands the game, understands what is needed out on the floor. And as a player, he was able to, provide that for us.
All right. Thank you, Coach. That was our final question.
All right. Thank you.